Welcome to the Alain Elkann interviews, an unprecedented window into the minds of some of the most well-known and respected figures of the last 25 years.
How important is a designer, a grand couturier for a woman?
It depends what is the definition of couturier. I think that when I did a little bit of the research before, because, I took some time off and I said I had to question the past to understand the present and to imagine the future. Part of me was going back to the whole couture world and think, where did it all started? And when we saw the couturier, like Balenciaga and Saint Laurent and Givenchy, they all looked like doctors. They didn't look like designers. They had this white coat. And the second thing that I saw, that they were very, very close to their consumers, to the ladies. So I saw no social distance. And I saw also the fact that they look like scientists. And this is what we bring today. We're living in social distance, but today the new technology brings us to be direct to consumers. And all we did is trials and laboratory on fabrics, on newness, on changes. So in a way, I think that it was really what is today. So how important is the couturier to women or women to couturier? I think that we're not working with muses. You see, I don't have one woman. I don't have a muse. And when we started, our marketing team said, okay, we have a name to the client, we have her age, we have her profession. And the first instinct I had was, who is her mother? Who is her daughter? Who are the neighbors? Because I cannot be put in one room with one person. I like when life becomes a theater.
Even if you have a background, not only you were running Lanvin for 14 years, and you really gave life to Lanvin, but also you worked with Yves Saint Laurent yourself as a young man. But you say somewhere in an interview that you are an engineer. I mean, you left somehow les grandes maisons de haute couture. You are an engineer and you invented AZ, which is your new label, and you are Alber Elbaz. So
if I use AE like Alber Elbaz, it would be like Albert Einstein.
Or Alain Elkann,
Alain.
What happened to you? You came back with your own company. You are partner with the Richemont Group in this adventure. But why do you define yourself an engineer? What did you do? What is the difference between before and now?
When I left fashion because I was no longer in love with my métier. Somehow, as much as I love our industry, I didn't like to wake up and to do my job. And it's the only thing I know how to do. I don't even have a driving license, so I couldn't be a taxi driver. But in a way, I was actually trying to find another world that will excite me. And I went par hasard to Palo Alto in America, and I was fascinated with the freedom. I was fascinated with newness and innovation. I was fascinated that the engineer became the new designers, and everything was about being smart, not about being fashionable. And I thought that, the world is changing and women are changing. And in a way, I thought I need to be also, during this pandemic time, a little bit of a designer, a little bit of an anthropologue, to understand what is it that we have to do today, but also a little bit of an engineer if I want to introduce some technology. And since I have no record of technology and I'm very, very bad even with email, for me, technology was a dream. And when I work with technique or with technology and with factories, even though I'm not coming from this background, it is almost like a dream. Can we do that? And immediately they tell you, but this is not how the machine works. And you ask, if I change the machine, would we be able to do it? And the answer was, let's try. So I had to work with the factory as an engineer as well. I have to be a designer. I had to be an anthropologist, as I said, because I had to understand what is it that women are living today? And life is not longer what it used to be. It will maybe come back to it. It depends how we see it. But today, when I look at Zoom, at all the people that I know from fashion, I don't see them with a leopard coat and a pink jacket and a purple velvet hat.
But you say that anyway, and that's where you started your new venture, is that the black dress will never end, right? I mean, for a woman.
I started with the black dress, Alain, because it's the foundation of almost every wardrobe. But I was looking for a purpose why women will buy that new dress. So that's where I introduced the technology, and I went and I developed a fabric that has a different tension. It's almost like if it was a Spank, that kind of give you the dream shape that every woman wants to have. When I was traveling, I saw many women, and the one complaint or the one challenge was, God, we are fighting with weight. So the first initial at the time was, I wish I could be a magician and do a dress that will give you the dress you want. And I started to see the whole story with tension. And I work with this company and I asked them, can we hold part of the body, but can I release part of the body? Because myself, I go to a lot of spas, to detox and stuff. And I talk to women and they tell me, Alber, we cannot breathe if it's too tight. We cannot walk or get into a car if it's too tight. So my work with the factories were to release tension in areas, to bring different tension in the sleeve, to take the baleine from the corset and put it in the back. So instead of pushing your boobs up, it's actually supporting your back. And I like the phonetic of instead of pushing, you support. We did the whole sleeve ergonomic so women can move. We introduced a new zipper that women can do it themselves, so they're not dependent. So the whole issue was around what is it that I can do today to solve problems?
But the idea of women struggling with weight, in the past, they had le buste, someone who was making them thinner with a buste. The technology has changed and you may have found an easier, more comfortable thing, but this is an obsession that women had since the past, since La Cour de Louis XIV, since even before.
So with the new technology, we give the shape, but we don't have all the structure, you see, that they have in the real corset. So the technology is replacing, and instead of looking at technology as dream breaker, it's actually a dream maker. How can we make it better? It's like if we take a Rolls-Royce from 1950, it's an amazing car, but more difficult to ride in the city. But if you take a new Tesla maybe that is using now electricity, we go there. When we have a phone today, it's all about smartphone. It's about smart architecture. It's about smart cars. So I was looking for different ways to produce clothes. I'm not giving myself the compliment of being smart, but the technology made the piece smart.
Your clothes are Enka, viscose, and lycra, if I am not wrong. A mixture of this. Who did it? You did it in Italy? Because I heard people speaking in Italian.
Yeah, a company named Mass.
What did they do in order to find this new fabric? And this is a fabric that is exclusively yours, or?
They are no, but the technique, yes, because what they did, they changed the tension of the dress in one piece. There are areas that are more tense and more compressing, and there are areas that are a little bit more loose. And this is something that, it took us, Alain, almost 1 year to achieve. Also the fact that we worked during pandemic and we couldn't travel. Sometimes DHL took a month rather than 2 days. Sometimes we lost DHL. Sometimes we had to go, but nobody worked because they closed the company. So it was also there part of the exercise of facing reality, because fashion is usually just about a dream. And I still think that we are selling a dream. People need to dream. This is the hope that fashion is here for women.
The black dress and red dress and white dress, they're very molding the women. But I also seen some very colorful kind of pajamas. What are these pajamas about? What is the difference?
What we did for the first time, we're usually going to do one story at a time. So just because we launched it, we decided to do or to show 3 of the stories, but it's the first and the only time. Now we are going back to one story. So the first story was all about the body. And you know, Alain, that to deal today with the body is a taboo, because if we say the wrong thing, we can go to dangerous places. And when I started to work on the body before I go to the pajama, the beginning or the starting point was to fight against the whole issue of weight and how we should look. And little by little, I start to do all this research and I start to fit the dress on different women. And I realize is that you don't have to make everybody look the same and look alike. And actually, I like that there were women that were extra small, genetically small, and there were women that were 4 extra large and they were beautiful. And I think that me as an overweight guy also, I always do layering, you know, to kind of confuse the enemy. So nobody sees my real body. But then when I saw the women that came to our studio and they wear different dresses and they have different body shape, I thought it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to see like over XXL and to see extra small. And therefore I said, you know, it's not about making you look skinny anymore because this is maybe our starting point. But today the whole idea was to give a hug without choking women.
You know women better than anybody else, from wedding dresses to chic dresses to daily dresses. I mean, you have done everything. What a woman wants to be sexy, it changes with the age. How does it work?
I think that all of the above, Alain. I think that women are very multifaceted. One day they want to be sexy, and one day they want to be the mother, and one day they want to be the lover, and one day they want to be the businesswoman. And I think that women are much more pragmatic than men in a way, because they can do many things at the same time. They have to be the best mother, the best daughter, the best wife, the best boss, all at the same minute.
There is one dress for all these things, or they have to have many?
I think that they can have different, and that's why we're building our story as a story of a wardrobe. And we started with the My Body. And then I went also to the pandemic, to all the people I saw on Zoom. And all of a sudden I see the comfort was really the name of the story. And the first thing for me was the pajama. And I said what I really missed this year was to hug and to be hugged. So I did a pajama that I worked with an artist, and it was all about print of hugging. The other thing was about someone just kiss you. And I'm not even talking Alain French kiss, but a kiss. So I did with another artist that I never met in real, only on Instagram, and we did the whole story of kisses. And one, it was about dancing. So for me, it was taking all the fantasy, not into a couture dress, but into a pragmatic piece, so-called pajama. So this was one. The second thing that I did in the same story with all the hoodies and legging, which in a way they said that the legging took over the jeans because every woman wants to have just a hoodie, a sweatshirt, and a legging. So I did them in 7 colors. And I did them again in all the sizes. And I said, if you're AZ lazy, you stay at home. And if you're AZ crazy, wear a Duchesse skirt over it. And you wear your hoodie, your legging with a Duchesse skirt, with your sneakers. And it will take you 2 minutes to get ready. And I always remember Alain, my father, that complained that my mother took too much time to get ready. And I love the phonetic, Alain, of women telling their man or their partner, honey, I'm ready. And, you know, with the zipper I did, I like the idea of, honey, I don't need help. I can do it myself. And this is the change that I see that women are going. I went to an exhibition in the Musée de l'Art Décoratif of shoes. And it was the history of shoes. And on one hand, at the exhibition, I saw all the shoes that the Japanese used to wear, you know, the bondage. And the shoe size were like 10 centimeters. After you see all the shoes, the platform in Venice. So while I was looking at the exhibition, I was also looking at all the shoes of the women that were watching the exhibition. And the first thing that I saw is that the size of the shoes was much bigger than what I've seen. If we see the height of Marie Antoinette, she was much shorter than women today. So I see how the food and the exercise and the lifestyle is changing the physique and the body that we are dressing today.
You anticipated, because before AZ, you did a line of sneakers or, whatever you call them for Diego Della Valle. So you entered into that world, because it looks like if you look at people's feet in the street, almost 80% of people wear sneakers. Regular shoes, men or women, do not exist anymore.
When I was at Saint Laurent one day in the archive, I found a box of Roger Vivier's shoes, the original. When you start looking at the shoes, you think to yourself, God, who can wear those shoes today? At the time, you see the feet were so fine and so small. And you see in shoes, everything is about proportion. Like in fashion, it's all about proportion. How you change from one decade to another. This dress is the same dress, the colors are the same color, but the proportion change from mini to long to wider. And that's why I always believe that fashion is not about vintage, but fashion is about now. It's like a fruit. You don't eat it tomorrow and you don't eat it yesterday. You have to be realistic to the moment.
Many people in this pandemic moment said, many women, many people said, oh, fashion is over. You can buy jeans or T-shirts in one of these, companies like Zara, like Uniqlo, for very cheap. And who cares about fashion? People who stayed so much home, and they really seem to think that fashion is over. And personally, I don't believe this. And I think you don't either, because otherwise you wouldn't have started something new right now.
But I left fashion, Alain, because I was asking myself if anyone needs fashion anymore. And that was the starting point of my separation of fashion. And the second thing was that I asked so many colleagues, are you happy doing what you do? And they said no, because the rhythm is a killer. I asked journalists, are you happy doing what you do? And they said, Alber, we have a life. And today with the rhythm, we don't have a life anymore. And all of those issues made me take a little step back and not to do fashion anymore for 5 years. So I did few projects. But later on, I missed it again. I miss the people. I miss fabric. I miss women. I miss the drama, because I'm also a little bit of a drama queen. And more than anything, I thought that, yes, we need fashion, but we need fashion in a different way. And it's not about doing a couture show today. Maybe in few months or few years, we will go back to Les Années Folles. But even Les Années Folles were not Années Folles, Les Années Smart, because it was the best writers from Hemingway to Jean Cocteau, to Vionnet, to Picasso, to Charlie Chaplin, to jazz. Jazz is the most smart music because you play with no notes and you have to play together and with intuition. And for me, this is the story that might happen after pandemic, that we have to go to something like the Renaissance. The Renaissance was about beauty and technology and the body. It was the body first, technology and beauty. And today we live in a world that it's all about social media and likes. And I said, can we go back also to love others, but also to love me? Can we go back to mix beauty and intuition with algorithm and marketing? Because sometimes we feel that the marketing and the algorithm are the biggest enemy of creativity. So the question is, can we collaborate the two? Can we find a middle without being mediocre?
There is also another thing that I don't know if I understood well, but there will be no shops with AZ.
No, we're starting. So as a startup, we don't have any store of ourselves. We started with digital, and in few months, we are going to already work with few partners. Some of the retailers, Alain, were very strong supporter of me in my previous life. And I think that today I'm going to return to some of them. And I think it's time to help retail. And I also realized that people after pandemic, post-pandemic, will need the personal touch. So in few months, we're going to start with some partnership. But, I decided not to go to a big house and not to go into a big system, but to create a small system that is suitable to me, that I wanted to come every morning and to enjoy the process, to be working with people that are coming from different backgrounds. I wanted to enjoy the métier as a métier, and I needed to start it small, and I needed to start it with zero ego. And it was not about showing the world how creative I am and showing the big dresses and the big couture show, but it's to go back to the essence of what women want, but of course not to work like a cashier in a supermarket. You want to sleeve, you want short, you want red, I give it to you. But it was about the need. And you know, Alain, there was a moment that I thought that I don't want to do fashion anymore. And I said, instead of being a fashion designer killer, I wanted to be a fashion designer healer. And it's about finding solutions. And it's about listening to women. And it's about understanding the need and not showing my own ego. And you know what? The most difficult pieces were the simplest dresses to make because they were so far from my vocabulary. But in the end, I knew that this is what everybody was looking for.
What were you looking for? The real needs of a woman?
Today, yes. And there will be a moment that I will do maybe one of the group or one of the story later that will be all about fantasy. So you see, instead of doing collection, pre-collection, post-collection, that is based on the weather, I do smaller stories, and every story is giving one aspect, one facet of women life.
But now that you have started, since a few days, how do you feel? How was the impact? What did people say to you, your friends, the journalists, the clients? What was the response? Because it's a little bit like writing a book, right? You did it all by yourself, and then you publish it.
I never wrote a book, but for me, I'm inspired more by words and stories than by images. So for me, you see that I don't call it capsule, I call it stories. So in a way, I create my own stories. And this is what makes me dream. The reaction is much more than I could ever ask for. I mean, it was very different to do interviews with women journalists and men journalists. Because the women journalists, after 3 minutes, they project themselves in the clothes. And they were no longer journalists, they were women. And men journalists remained journalists for the 1-hour interview. So it was very different because women were looking at it and said, I want to be her now. And men look at it from a different perspective, which is okay.
Men also look at women, if they like them, they desire them.
Exactly. I mean, it's so true. You see, I'm not straight, so I didn't think about that, Alain. But I was thinking that everything I do, I think, is not good enough. And in a way, it's also my motto to restart all over again. Because after you finish such a big project, after 5 years of dreams, and you start something and you do your presentation, the only thing you want is to go to sleep for like a month. But I came back the next morning because already after the presentation, I said, I need to change, I need to fix, this is not right. In a way, I look at it and I was not sure if I even like it anymore. But I understand that this is the mechanism to go back and not to recreate. Because if you love everything you do and you get high from your own creativity, we don't move on, we just stay where we are. And I understood why one day I like it and the next day I don't at all. And when I read, the critique, I think for the first time in my career, like 100% of the critique, I mean, I don't know how it will be yours, but 100% of it were really good. And it was the New York Times, the Financial Times, the Figaro, like people that are not easy to satisfy, people that saw fashion, that understand fashion, they know the history of fashion. And I'm coming here, also with a legging and a sneakers and a sweatsuit. And I'm saying it's not about being grandiose now. It's about trying to understand the need and the dream, and then I elevate it. I also think that this is the moment to introduce to design the beauty, a little bit of technology. And technology is not a bad word.
No. Are your clothes very expensive?
Our clothes are between 230 euro, and the most expensive is, I think, 1250 or 1300. So one more thing was to work on more democratic prices.
It is a very big difference from what you did before, right?
Enormous. You see now why I didn't call it Alber Elbaz, but AZ Factory, because I needed to change. I didn't want to come from the place that I ended 5 years ago. I needed a change. And I remember that the T-shirt I did in my previous job were like 1,800 euro. And here we did it from 230 to like 1,300. So I understood the democratization of this world. I also worked from XX small to 4XL, like 9 sizes. I never did it. I never. You know, we only did small, medium, large. And now I see also the necessity to work on different body sizes. So this is also a change, to work on prices that are affordable and that you are exclusive and exclusive for all.
You are born in Casablanca. You are an Israeli. You became French. You are officer of the Légion d'honneur. Is your fashion world fashion? Is it good for Chinese women, for African women, for English women, for Russian women? I mean, is it for everyone?
Alain, it's so beautiful that you call it French women, Chinese women, because in the industry we call it differently. Chinese market or English market or American market. And I think it's beautiful that you refer to them as Chinese women and French women and not Chinese market. I think that women are universal. I think the world is global, but women are universal. I think that every woman I know loves chocolate. Every woman I know have a tear when her son or daughter get married. Every woman I know loves to have a red dress in Christmas.
And a white dress for the wedding.
It depends. If you're Asian, it's for a funeral. But you know, Alain, I did about 30 wedding dresses and about 28 or 29 are still married.
And that's so you bring good luck.
I hope so. I said it to this girl, this actress from Hollywood, and she's begging me now to make a wedding dress for her. Just because of that, she said, I don't care about the design. Just make me the damn dress.
But women are difficult clients, are difficult to satisfy.
No. I love women. I love women. I understand women. I read women. I find them amazing. And I think that women are changing a lot. The world is changing a lot, and we see it. And therefore, the relationship between men and women are changing. And we have to be part of the whole and to understand the whole change. You know, Alain, that I'm a TV freak. I like TV. And when I come home at 11 o'clock and I have my cold pizza from yesterday, I like to watch all these shows, you know, like reality shows, and it's like a meditation. And since the pandemic, I cannot see one celebrity talking. I only want to see historian, philosopher, epidemiologist, doctor. And what I realized that after I saw one doctor, epidemiologist 5 times, she became a celebrity. Because already her hair now is blonde. She's already wearing like different clothes. Then I thought how the media is changing. And it doesn't matter if you're an actress or a professor in Yale. In the end of the day, the media make you change. And a woman is a woman. But I love women. So, yes.
Listen, what did you do in 5 years of silence? I mean, obviously you changed, but did you live well?
I had moments that I was very happy because I felt free. I had moments that I was very down because I didn't see any hope. So I had a lot of ups and downs, and I started to teach. And I did a lot of masterclass around the world. I did really a lot all over, from Asia to America to Europe. And more than I wanted to teach, I wanted to learn. What's next? I wanted to learn from all this Gen Z that everybody said, you know, you have to take designers that are 16 years old. The CEO should be 15. And all of a sudden you think about all the people around me. And I thought to myself, the most dangerous thing is to create a team that is too homogenic. So I have people here that are 19 and I have a woman that is 76. You see, so I have the two around me.
When you say where we work, where are you? In Paris?
Yeah, I'm in Paris.
Why don't you work in Tel Aviv or in Israel, for instance? Why do you live in Paris?
Because Paris is becoming my home. My partner lives here and he has a job here. I love Paris. I love Israel for different reasons. I love America that I was there for 12 years for different reasons. I hired few people from my past and they're all living in Paris. And, one of my dreams was to work with some Israeli technology, and I might do it in the future. Because I said I just had some interview with some people from Israel about technology. And I said that the tailor was such a Jewish profession. And I said, I wish I can bring it back through technology. You see, so there is a correlation between that and tailor and seamstresses because it's a very Jewish métier because we could run away in 2 minutes.
Besides technology, computers, very strange materials, are you still drawing with a pencil?
I only draw with a pencil. I only write with a pencil. But for me, when I talk about technology, I don't talk about anything else but a dream and a fantasy because it's a mystery for me because I'm new in all of that. So for me, it's all about this fantasy. What can the machine do that I cannot do anymore? And how can I combine it together? And how can I find that story that is a blend of both?
Now that you changed, you even change the color of your hair, you look a bit different, you look younger. So tell me, who are you now? You are like a young person who starts his career. You feel that you are more mature and you know more about your craft, your métier. How is your feeling?
I didn't change, Alain. First of all, I didn't have any Botox. It's just the fact I like to eat. So I don't have wrinkles, you see, because I'm rounded. So this is that. I'm feeling the same. I'm feeling that nothing changed in me. I was sitting one day with a friend of mine who is a doctor in the hospital, and I asked him if he still gets nervous every time he has a new patient. And he said, no, because now I know my métier, so I don't get nervous anymore. And for me, I get nervous even when I have to design a sweatshirt or a T-shirt. And the moment I will not be scared anymore, I will change really that métier, and then I will live for real.
You love doctors. You talk a lot about doctors and why. You would have liked to be a doctor?
Yeah. If I started all over again, I have no doubt I will go to a medicine school.
This would have pleased a lot your mother.
Well, she's dead now, but I'm sure she's looking at me. She would be happy. She would be happy, Alain, if I was married to a girl. She would be happy if I was a doctor. But, I always tell this story, Alain, that when I signed at Saint Laurent and I called her and I said, Mom, I signed the contract. She said, oh, really? And I said, aren't you happy? And she said, there is one thing that will make me happy for you, to call me and to say, Mom, I'm getting married. So this is the life I'm coming from. You see, we are blue-collar family. We're simple people, very connected. And in the end of the day, I say always that I divide people not by being beautiful or not, or rich or not, but people that grew with love and people that grew with no love. And we grew with love, a lot of love. And Roberto Benigni said that the best heritage he got was poverty. And when you are there, you have no fear because you're not afraid to lose anything. You do it and you dream. And I think that when you come from nothing, you have a place to dream. When you come with so much knowledge, all we do is try to see where it fits. So for me, nothing changed. The color of my hair did, but I needed a change. All the rest are the same.
Even if there is pandemia, even if everything is Federal Express takes more time to come, even if you are hypochondriac and afraid of illness, are you happier now that you're back to work in fashion?
The first day that I came to the studio, the first day I was alone. I had no secretary. I was looking for push pins in the building for 7 hours. But the one thing I said to myself, God, Alber, it's your first day of vacation. And I really felt that it was my first day of vacation. And it is, because I don't like the beach. I don't like too much sports. I don't do much of it. I thought I should do more yoga, but I'm not a yogi. And my work is where I feel more comfortable. But to the question if I'm happy, there are moments I'm happy. But you know what they say about clown? When they have to rest, they cry. So this is a little bit of both. I'm happy when I can make other people around me happy. There was one moment that I was really happy, is when we did the movie, the film, and I saw all my team, and I saw the production of the film, and I was in the corner with a mask, with gloves and gel, and from far I look at everything and I said, sometime dreams can be realized. And I was happy. That was a moment I was really happy, Alain, because I knew that I started from nowhere, from nothing. And I was surprised that I'm having this project and it had a material that I could touch. So it was no longer a dream.
It's not exactly your name, but you work on your own, right? You're not Lanvin, not Saint Laurent, you're not Dior, you're yourself. And it makes a big difference?
No, because I was always myself. You know, I'm not playing any role of being different people at the same time. I am who I am. And even when I work for all the big people, I never felt like an employee. I never felt I owned the place, but I give 100% of me. I never give 50%. I never give 90%. I always give 100% of myself.
Alain Elkann interviews.